Welcome back to Stories Aloud. Today we're exploring Napoleon Hill's legendary work, Think and Grow Rich, a book that reveals how your thoughts and beliefs can shape your destiny and unlock the secrets of lasting success. For this exploration, we're cutting straight to the core of Hill's philosophy, drawing from the original 1937 edition, Our Mission, to really distill the most powerful, life-altering insights from this timeless text, giving you a clear roadmap to understanding how your mindset can literally create your reality.
Yeah, to deep dive into individual achievement, really. Based on this philosophy he refined over decades, studying incredibly successful people, we'll be looking at what Hill calls the 13 steps to riches. Focusing on the actionable principle, the things that go beyond just, wishing.
Okay, let's unpack this. Hill doesn't just talk about wanting something, he insists on a burning desire. What's the real difference there, and why is that so critical?
Oh, the distinction is vital.
Yeah.
Absolutely vital. See, a wish is passive, isn't it? It's kind of fleeting. But a burning desire, that's an active, definite purpose. It's like an obsession almost. Hill uses the story of Edwin C. Barnes. You know this one.
Vaguely remind me. He wanted to work with Edison.
With Edison, not just for him. That's key. Barnes had this, burning desire but zero money. Didn't even know Edison personally. So what does he do? He hops a freight train to Orange, New Jersey. Shows up looking like, Hill says, an ordinary tramp.
Wow. Just based on desire.
Exactly. And apparently the look on his face, that determination, it just screamed, I'm here to get what I came for. That unwavering resolve, that fire, it impressed Edison enough to give him a shot. An opportunity.
An opportunity he grabbed, I assume.
He did, and leveraged it over years into a full business partnership with Edison. Barnes literally burned his bridges, No retreat, only success.
That's powerful. So it's not just wanting it, it's the action, the persistence, the refusal to quit. But Hill takes it further, right? He brings in this idea of faith. How does he define that? It sounds a bit abstract.
Well, yeah, it can sound that way, but Hill defines faith as the eternal elixir. It's what gives thought vitality, power, and crucially, action. And here's the interesting part. He says faith is a state of mind, and that it can be induced by self-suggestion.
Induced, so you can create it. It's not just something you have or don't have.
Precisely. It's not mystical in the usual sense. It's about conditioning your mind.
Right.
Repetition. He basically says if you repeat a belief to yourself, whether it's true or false initially, your subconscious eventually accepts it. It starts working on it like it's fact.
Like deliberately programming your own belief system.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Hill doesn't just say, think the thought. He says, emotionalize it. What's that about? He gives this self-confidence formula.
Right, because the subconscious mind, according to Hill, responds mainly to emotion, not just cold logic. That's the key. So this formula involves demanding constant action towards your definite purpose, visualizing yourself already having the money or whatever the goal is, feeling it.
Feeling it already there.
Yes. He argues if your desire is strong enough, like an obsession, you won't have any trouble convincing yourself through that emotionalized visualization. You make it feel real.
So you're essentially feeding this powerful subconscious engine. But what happens if you feed it negative emotions? Does it work the same way?
That is the absolute critical point, yes.
No.
This chemical laboratory, as he calls the subconscious, it doesn't judge. It takes any strongly emotionalized thought, positive or negative, desire or fear, and starts translating it into its physical equivalent.
So it's impartial. It just acts on the strongest emotional input.
Exactly. And that's why, he argues, so many people fail. They might say positive words, but without the feeling, the emotion of the subconscious isn't really influenced. Think about his own story with his son born deaf.
Right, I remember reading that.
His burning desire, his faith, his persistence over years. It led to the boy eventually hearing through a device. But here's the kicker. The boy, inspired by this new world of sound, writes to the hearing aid company with an idea, something he thought of.
No way.
Yes. And that idea, born from overcoming his own handicap, became an asset. It sparked innovations for the company, creating value for thousands, turning a negative into a massive positive through that initial desire and faith.
Incredible. Okay, so we have burning desire, we have faith, these powerful internal drivers, but they need direction, right? You can't just wish and believe your way to success.
No, absolutely not. That brings us to the next crucial step, organized planning.
Planning makes sense.
Hill's very clear. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action. Knowledge itself. It's just potential power, raw material.
It only becomes real power when it's organized and aimed at something specific.
Precisely. Look at Henry Ford. Hill points out Ford had little formal schooling. But when his engineer said building a V8 engine in one block was impossible, Ford said produce it anyway.
He just kept pushing.
Yeah, his determination, his persistence, coupled with a definite plan, even if the plan was just find a way, eventually led them to discover the secret. Ford didn't need to know everything, but he knew how to organize the knowledge and efforts of others.
So it's about application, organizing resources, not just hoarding facts. And a huge part of that application for Hill involves other people, this mastermind idea.
Yes, the mastermind principle. It's central to his philosophy. He defines it as a coordination of knowledge and effort and a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose.
Harmony is key there.
Crucial. He argues that no individual achieves great sustainable power without leveraging the minds of others. There are economic benefits, sure, but also psychic ones. Ford, again, brilliant as he was, really took off when he allied himself with Edison, Firestone, Burroughs, Burbank, other great minds.
Like a synergy effect.
Exactly. Hill believed you tend to absorb the thought habits, the strengths of those you associate with closely and harmoniously. The whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts.
He even applies it to history, suggesting the American Revolution itself came from a mastermind group, those 56 signers of the Declaration.
Yeah, he saw their definite decision and coordinated effort as the driving force behind Washington's eventual military success. It's a bold claim, but it illustrates the principle.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But for someone listening now, how do we actually apply this? How do you build your own mastermind?
Well, he gives pretty concrete steps. First, figure out who you need. Ally yourself with people who have the knowledge or skills you lack for your specific goal. Second, and this is important, decide what you can offer them in return. It has to be mutually beneficial. It's not just about taking...
A reciprocal relationship.
Right. And third, meet regularly. Talk, plan, refine, until you've perfected your plan for achieving the purpose. And he adds a really crucial piece of advice. If your first plan fails, don't quit the goal.
Just the plan.
Just the plan. Build a new one and another if necessary. Temporary defeat, for Hill, is just feedback that your plan wasn't sound, not that your goal is impossible. Think of Edison again. How many times did he supposedly fail with a light bulb?
10,000 times, the story goes.
Right. He didn't see them as failures, just steps that didn't work. He persisted, adjusted the plan, and got there. That persistence is part of the process.
It really seems like so much of this comes down to mastering yourself first. Not just building good habits, but actively fighting the bad ones, especially fear.
Oh, absolutely. Hill dedicates a lot of space to fear. He identifies what he calls the 6 ghosts of fear.
Let's see if I remember. Poverty, criticism, ill health.
Yep. Loss of love, old age, and death. And he says the root, the starting point of fear, is often indecision.
Indecision? How so?
Well, indecision is like the seedling. It sits there, then it crystallizes into doubt, and doubt grows into fear. And these fears, they're sneaky. They operate subtly, often below our conscious awareness, just destroying initiative, killing imagination.
The fear of poverty, he says, is the worst.
He thinks so. The most destructive, the hardest to master. He links it to this sort of inherited tendency for people to prey on each other economically. It creates this deep-seated anxiety.
So, practically speaking, how do these fears hold us back? He gives examples, right? Like fear of what others think.
Yes, fear of criticism is a big one. It stops people from changing jobs, starting businesses, even just expressing unconventional ideas. People worry, what will they think? Or fear of ill health. He talks about hypochondria people literally making themselves sick through suggestion and focusing on minor symptoms because they fear getting sick.
It sounds like these fears paralyze action.
They do. They destroy self-reliance, initiative. So what's the antidote Hill proposes?
Decision.
Prompt and firm decision. He argues we have the power to choose which emotions dominate our minds. If you deliberately cultivate the habit of focusing on positive emotions, desire, faith, love, enthusiasm, the negative ones like fear just can't gain a foothold. They get crowded out.
So you actively displace fear with positive focus and decision.
Exactly. He gives that really stark example of the man facing execution. 2 hours left, but he decided to accept his fate. Found peace, ate a hearty meal, stayed calm. Decision brought control, even in that extreme situation.
So decision can conquer fear of poverty, fear of criticism, just deciding not to worry or to accept what you can't change.
Right. It's about taking control of your mental state through decisive commitment.
Okay, so we master fear through decision, but Hill goes deeper, doesn't he, into these less tangible forces, imagination.
Yes, imagination is huge for Hill. He calls it the workshop of the mind. It's where all plans are born. And he makes a distinction. There's synthetic imagination, basically rearranging old ideas, concepts, plans into new combinations, like improving an existing product.
Okay.
And then there's creative imagination. This is where truly new ideas come from. Through hunches, inspiration, it's like tapping into, well, something bigger. Infinite intelligence, he sometimes calls it.
And he believes our only real limit is how we develop and use this imagination.
Pretty much, yeah. Within reason, of course.
Yeah.
He uses Marconi as an example. Dreaming of sending messages through the air without wires. Seemed crazy.
Totally crazy at the time.
But that creative spark, pursued relentlessly, reshaped the entire world. It started in the imagination.
Okay, and then there's the one that always makes people pause. Sex transmutation. That sounds intense, especially for a book from the 1930s.
It is intense, definitely bold, but it shows how deep Hill went into human motivation. He basically says that the energy, the emotion connected with sex is the most powerful human drive, the most impelling. He calls it the creative energy of all genie.
So he's not just talking about the physical act.
No, not solely. He's talking about that fundamental primal passion, that drive, that intense energy. And transmutation means changing its form, harnessing that powerful energy and redirecting it away from purely physical expression.
Towards other things.
Towards creative work, intellectual challenges, building a business, solving problems. When you do that, he believes, you can tap into a level of energy and focus that elevates you towards genius.
Huh. And he connects this to why many people achieve their greatest success later in life.
Yeah, he observes that many highly successful men, particularly, hit their stride after 40 or 50. He theorizes it's partly because they've learned, maybe consciously or unconsciously, how to channel that intense drive more constructively, less purely physically.
He even says the desire to please women is a primary driver for accumulating wealth.
He does state that quite plainly. He felt that desire was a massive motivator for men seeking power and riches. Take women out of the picture, he thought, and wealth would lose much of its appeal for most men. It's a very 1930s perspective in some ways, but the core idea is about harnessing powerful emotional drives.
So the underlying principle is channeling your most potent energies. Passion, ambition, drive into your definite purpose, using that fire productively.
Precisely. Recognize the power, then direct it with willpower. Transform life energy into achievement energy.
Okay, we've covered the internal work, the mindset, the deeper forces. How does this all translate into the real world? Getting a job, making a living, providing value.
He gets very practical there, too. He offers a formula for marketing yourself, your personal services. He calls it QQS.
QQS.
Quality, quantity, and the proper spirit of cooperation.
Okay, break that down.
Quality. Deliver the absolute best work you can. Excellence in your service or product. Quantity. Deliver as much value as you can. Be efficient, productive, and spirit.
The attitude.
Exactly. The attitude you bring. It's a positive, cooperative, agreeable. Do you work harmoniously with others? That spirit, he says, is crucial. It's not just what you do, but how you do it.
So Q plus S equals better results, more value.
Essentially, yes. Think about building anything great. You need a quality product. You need to produce enough of it or work efficiently. Quantity. But you also need that positive, collaborative, customer-focused energy spirit to truly succeed long-term.
It sounds like a more modern approach than you might expect. Like the partnership idea, he talks about employer, employee, and the public. No more public be damned.
Right. He saw the Great Depression partly as a consequence of businesses ignoring that spirit, focusing only on profit without regard for fair value or the public good. A kind of protest from an injured public, he called it. The new era, he felt, demanded cooperation, integrity, giving real value. He tells that amazing story about the woman during the Depression whose son needed a job.
Oh, yeah, the personal service sales plan.
That's the one. She didn't just tell him to go pound the pavement. She helped him create this incredibly detailed plan, outlining his value, his proposed role, even his salary, based on the value he'd bring.
And he got the job, right? Bypassing the entry-level slog.
He did. Got an executive position at the salary he determined, because he wasn't just asking for a job. He was presenting a clear plan for delivering specific value. She then turned that method into a business, helping others do the same.
It shows, as Hill says, it pays to know how to purchase knowledge, meaning acquire skills, and then organize it into a compelling offer. Don't just wait to be told what you're worth.
Exactly. Create your own demand by clearly demonstrating your value proposition.
And he wraps all this up with a really strong message about opportunity, particularly in America, even after the devastation of the Depression. What was his take?
Well, writing in that recovery period, he was incredibly bullish on America's potential. He emphasized the unique freedoms, choice, property, opportunity, and unparalleled foundations for achievement. He even defends capitalism, or organized capital, arguing it's the engine, the brains, that makes modern life possible.
He uses that breakfast example, right?
Yeah, the simple breakfast juice from Florida, tea from China, bananas from South America, all delivered affordably to a New York table. Impossible, he says, without the complex systems built by capital. The ships, the trains, the factories, the organized labor. But his main point isn't just defending the system, it's stressing that lasting wealth comes from giving useful service within that system.
It comes back to contribution.
Always. Create value, solve problems, serve others. Develop that money consciousness built on contribution, not just on trying to get something for nothing. He's clear that while negative influences exist, the opportunity for those who operate with integrity and offer genuine service is immense.
So reflecting on all this, Hill lays out this powerful formula. Thoughts becoming things through desire, faith, planning, persistence, leveraging masterminds, overcoming fear. We've heard the stories, the principles.
And that idea of an unseen stream of power, where positive, emotionalized thoughts pull you towards success and negative ones towards failure. The current is always flowing. The choice, Hill insists, of which way you direct your thoughts and emotions, which side of the stream you navigate, that choice is always yours.
So, considering everything we've unpacked today from Think and Grow Rich, what single thought or desire will you choose to burn into your subconscious mind? And maybe more importantly, what obstacles, what fears are you now willing to actively confront and transmute to make that thought a reality? If this journey into Think and Grow Rich inspired you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Stories Aloud for more timeless lessons from books that change the way we think and live. Until next time, keep listening.